Hi, welcome to Full Disclosure, because AI is currently not able to sip coffee and talk about the mortgage industry.
That's true, honestly.
They
I
can talk, just not do the coffee.
just not do the coffee part, and honestly, Claude and I are beefing right now because it decided
Yeah.
that it doesn't want to talk to me this morning. I don't know why. It might be down. Who knows?
If we have to talk on the mortgage industry, that's probably a good segue to ask you guys about what the vibe is right now. I'm a little nervous hearing that intro. How are things?
I was gonna say, well, it's summertime, so like we're doing this just slightly more caffeinated than normal, right?
Woo!
Also special thanks to our new admin, Ella, who got us these
Thank
coffees.
God.
Fresh off a coffee run.
What do you think about housing in the admin experience?
That's always a fun
in the summer, yeah.
It's always a fun thing to throw our new employees at. You work in the office, you stand a chance of getting on camera. It's just a fact.
But it's like fast and slow at the same time right now. It like should be a bigger home market time. It feels like I'm seeing more for sale signs, like locally here around suburban Philadelphia. Interest rates aren't great. It looks like the Fed on Warsh's first meeting not only held rates, which was widely expected, but they indicated that they're going up in the next 6 months.
You know,
Not cute, but
not cute.
makes sense with inflation numbers not looking good, employment numbers looking good, question mark. So I always have kind of like I'm a little bit confused about that always, because it seems like our employment numbers are good with lots of jobs created, but like I don't know, from my perspective as an employer and kind of following the news and what I do, it doesn't seem like this is a great employment market right now. And maybe some of it's industry specific, where our industry, there's probably a lot more people looking for jobs than available jobs. I have talked to other folks, especially someone in my business group who hires CPAs, as it does seem that like, CPAs fresh out of college, he has a business in Doylestown, PA, and they have in-person requirements. And he has a hard time getting those folks to show up in person to agree to that when hiring, because they could go to Ernst & Young, PwC, larger companies in New York, or work remotely. So it seems like there's a little more power in some of those types of jobs than we have right now. The other thing that I've seen that I believe is skewing the numbers is there's a lot more folks leaving the workforce, basically like early retirement, the like 55 and up number. 55 years and up, those folks who are leaving the workforce are going up pretty high right now. So I think that's skewing it a little bit. So clearly I have feelings about this, because
Only a little,
but that's what this is.
Yeah. No, I think I don't have much to say on employment numbers. I think it's tough because you do see I'm very active on social media and all of that, which, I do work in marketing, so that does make sense. But you see a lot of people that are kind of have been unemployed for a very long period of time.
Every job we post is like 100 plus, 200 plus apps too.
But to that same point, right, we tried hiring a specialized in-person job. And I think that's really where the struggle is coming, is I think because of the move to remote work, a lot less people are willing to relocate for positions, which is fair. But it is something that I think is a question mark of where did those roles kind of end up, especially when some of these roles just require in-person work because there's no way around that.
Well, then that could be why the job market seems better from our perspective, because if we put a remote job, it's not hard to get 200 applicants from anywhere in the country, as opposed to Montgomery County, Pennsylvania.
100%.
For a title insurance specialized job.
It's a tough one.
But
I think overall in the mortgage industry and just the general vibes, I think there's a lot less job shifts, I think, happening than there were 6 months ago, especially in the mortgage tech side. It seems like that has kind of stabilized. There was a lot of shifts at the beginning of the year, and it does normally settle somewhat mid-year because people are looking towards bonuses and all of that.
Or don't want to move in the summer.
They don't want to move in the summer. They, they're willing to sit it out, and they're really looking towards that end of year close. So that's been interesting, because I think we saw a lot more movement than we had historically at the beginning of this year with people moving around.
You got to use that PTO first and then move.
I think the thing you're seeing in the industry too is even more so like you're either, a buyer or a seller right now. You're either in a market where you figured out how to survive in this market, and you're going to stay there, and you're going to look to grow, acquire businesses, acquire talent, or you're looking to get out. And the market is not changing that right now by any means.
And I think M&A is the big conversation right now. I mean, we to tie it to LodeStar, we decided we're actually starting a M&A launch for our Tale of Two Mortgages characters because it's
a new story arc
because it is so prevalent in the industry, and there's just so much to talk about with that. And I think that's something that, you see. I think, the Rocket, Redfin, Mr. Cooper acquisition was the start of many more, the Synergy one, first APM conversation, right? There's these huge mergers happening. I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon.
No, not at all. And you're also seeing, too, a lot of competition for top LOs. Like the number of things you hear about 6-figure plus signing packages for loan officers, and people, with a loan officer at their company see an offer, they say, you should take this because we're going to come nothing close to it, right? So and obviously there's caveats to that. I know Rich Whitell at Princeton Mortgage posted about that a lot, about the danger of taking an offer like that and how it actually handcuffs you down the road. But it's, tough for folks to ignore that upfront money sometimes.
Yeah.
As far as M&A goes, I think that this is a great opportunity for the mortgage industry to self-reflect on having more, or I should say less generic names. I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump the gun on grinding gears, but we in our M&A arc, we have First Reef Mortgage getting acquired by Reef First Mortgage, and the name they settle with is First Reef First. And but there's a Reef Mortgage. It's Reef Mortgage. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and I think, but I mean, to that point, I actually had, I needed a bunch of NMLS numbers on some lender names, and I had AI do it for me. And one of the comments that AI made on one of the lenders was, this name is too common and I can't figure it out. Basically. Same. Right. And I'm like, I feel the same. I was like, I respect it. Thank you for your work.
I'll quote my 6-year-old daughter here to get you guys talking about AI, but she always says, talk more about when she wants to know something about. So talk more about AI. We've mentioned it last month in terms of a lot of new AI tools and even vendors like us. So shout out to Closing Clarity. We have a machine learning feature that we've recently onboarded that reads docs and buyer seller side splits and stuff. So how is that? How do you anticipate that affecting the sort of fast, slow pace and the sort of dug-in nature of those who are there as we go into the summer and ramp up to the fall?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we've talked about this before. There's a lot of people trying to build tech now. Before, I know there were talks at last month about 2 or 3 mortgage tech vendors who are building their own LOS. I don't even know who those are now. We talked to a lot of
there's lenders building
their own LOS.
There's only a few.
Yeah, there's a lot, but just a lot of folks who are trying to get into the software world because the barrier to write code has never been lower, right? Which I get. But I think there is a lot more to launching, supporting, and monetizing a software product in this industry than just writing code, right? Done it for the last 13 years. Writing code isn't the easy part. It's an expensive part of it. But supporting, selling, launching, dealing with changes. There are just so many things that have to do with that I feel like it's a little bit misunderstood right now. I think I remember we were talking to Mike Yu at Vesta, and I wanted to shout him out because we're talking about the number of lenders, this exact thing of people building their own AI or their own LOS with AI. And he's like, hey, I have a bunch of AI agents building my LOS, and it ain't that easy, right? This is incredibly smart dude who's been doing this for years. So it's just really kind of really, I think you're going to see a lot of people throwing spaghetti against the wall with some of this stuff, and we'll see what kind of works out beyond there.
And I think there's a lot of an AI fatigue that's starting to happen in a way that I think we haven't seen historically. Because I think at this point everyone has tried an AI tool, right? And if you haven't, you're living under a rock, and I can't speak for you. I'm sure there's absolutely
in our industry, yes.
In our industry, right? Like you have had an AI tool forced upon you or offered to you, reluctantly shoved in your hands. You know, you've had to use something, and I think they're all at differing levels of abilities, and I think it can be very frustrating for folks if it doesn't match that standard right away. But I think, you know, actually Mike, I think, was the one who posted this on LinkedIn, which was that AI agents, you have to train like their employees, right?
Yeah.
You have to provide training materials and all of that. And I think there's this expectation, and I think this is something that I had as well, is like, oh, well, you should know this.
Right.
And it's like, no, it doesn't.
Same when you're training an employee.
Yeah. Like, so it's that hurdle of, oh, now I have to train you. And that takes time and resources. And you're like, well, it would be faster to just do it myself.
I just read an interesting article in the Harvard Business Review that I get. I read an article in the Harvard Business Review, in case you wanted to read about that. It was about how to compete with agentic AI startups.
Yeah.
And the point that they made, which I felt was really interesting, as an entrenched company, when you're looking for a project to use AI to do, don't pick a super easy one. Was their point. Pick an area in the company that has as much friction as possible. Pick a high friction, high impact area and use AI there. Because I think their point is like, that's where you're going to see the most momentum, the most impact, and it's going to help you move faster than, you know, something that's a little more superfluous, I guess, with kind of an introduction to AI and starting a project for an easy win. They kind of made the opposite argument that I thought was interesting.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I think part of it too is LinkedIn. I've seen people starting to speak out and be like, hey guys, stop using AI for your posts because we can tell they're AI.
Yeah.
Right. And I
think LinkedIn suppresses them.
Yeah. LinkedIn, like, it was just hilarious to me because LinkedIn also in their premium feature has a thing that says generate, and they don't call it AI anymore. They call it like upgrade your post or something like that from their AI, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But
they have a couple of features that are counterintuitive like that too.
The
the quick apply is that should be a grind my gears. Like that is like one of the worst things to use as someone applying for a job.
Looking forward to hearing more about it. And it is ironic too, given that I doubt that the LinkedIn is not using human people to crawl for AI. I'm guessing it's AI, saying
AI deciding if it's AI.
That's right. We go into the summer. What's going on in LodeStar SettleWise land? What's the latest?
Well, we just had a marketing summit and a director summit in the same month.
It's our slow season, right?
Yeah. It's our slow season, which means it's time to do the work on ourselves. Is kind of how I look at it. I mean, this is the slowest period that my team has, I think, over the course of the year, because yes, we do have December and January, but also that's peak prepping for conference season. And right now, basically June and July are like, I think the slowest months that we have from a marketing and revenue perspective. That has kind of proven to not be true this year, but
our sales cycle is definitely a little pushed back from where it is normally, like the beginning of Q3 or beginning of Q2, where we would sign everyone in like April, May, is now turned into like right now.
Yeah. And I think part of that is just I think there's been, because of the uncertainty that we started the year with, I think we saw a lot of people not willing to kind of commit to new contracts and minimums and all of that stuff, which rightfully so. We hold a reserve in the marketing budget, right? I think it's for like wicked good new ideas or something along those lines. So what it's labeled.
To protect us from ourselves.
But I think that's happening in a lot of different businesses as well, right? Is that kind of freeze. And I think in the last month or two, we've really seen that open up.
Yeah.
So we're doing more sales calls than we ever have kind of going into the summer, which is unique.
You had a day, all you did was look at redline contracts.
Yeah, I had a week where it was just me and contracts. Really, it was like meetings and contracts. And I lost a week that I didn't need to lose. I mean, it was a great week to lose, but also
good problems to have, as I was going to say.
That
might be LodeStar vibes right now. Good problems.
Good problem.
All this success is so exhausting.
I'd like my Benedict is too good. But overall, I think, we're prepping for, we're actually going to do our first physical mailing I'm really excited about for our marketing team that we're working on. We've never actually.
I was like, wait, you are? I think you mentioned it to me at one point. It's around
it all started because
right?
It's all because you sent me an email in January, and it started from there. You said, "Is there anything we can use this for?" And I said, "Maybe."
Oh yeah. Huh?
Oh, wait, what are we doing? Said the CEO.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad I was inspiring.
You were inspiring. You inspired.
What I aim to be.
What it's led to is a conversation you and I had over Slack about how many stickers we should order. That was today.
That was a conversation. He's like, "This enough," and I was like, "I don't know."
You did have. I tried to very careful schedule things around open times of people's schedules and look at their calendars. And you had a meeting once that was just stickers, and I was like, "This can be moved." So I'm sorry, I'm scheduling stickers.
I mean, valid. To be honest, we do put really, we have a meeting called meme ting in the marketing team.
Yeah.
There are some things that are important.
I respect your work block, but stickers,
it's gotta go.
Stickers, yeah.
That's fair. I think my marketing team members might get the most rearrangements from my calendar for Tim and Fiona. If I need to move somebody, they're the first people to move.
I meet with the data team once every week, and I rarely meets at the time that it's supposed to.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, you guys will be fine because you have no external meetings, and like I know your schedules outside of that, and like we're gonna move it. But that I think also speaks to how we're doing at LodeStar is we're constantly moving our internal meetings because
we gotta stay flexible.
Yeah,
I think it's also the nature of content marketing, and especially in an AI-driven world where it's like, there's this balance, this dance between, like, on the one hand, those little visual things, the little surprise and delight moments have this like almost offensive level of how effective they are, and yet they're not billing or accounts receivable. So you need to like balance it accordingly,
The joy of having a multitude of responsibilities.
Yeah.
But on a more serious note, our data reports, we're coming out with our final data report for closing costs for the year. It is the joint data report and recap. Recap? Tim? Please.
It is, yes. And joint data report, no relation to reefer mortgage. So joint data report. So last year we started with our data reporting, and we had at the end of our purchase and refi report, just literal combination of the two with a little more comment. This is nice because now we have year-over-year data. This is our second year doing it. So we can start asking questions that we received last year, including why of the state changes. Why is this state still at the top? Why shift? So you expect some extra stuff, not just the two of the reports from the purchase and the refi publication slapped together.
Yeah, and I think it's been a really exciting project because we also, I think, going through it, had the realization of like, one of the things we're going to start to track is the like when a regulatory doc is added, right? I am blanking on what this is called. A recording doc. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
A huge part of what we do. We're actually going to track where the money is going to and what those are kind of funding, kind of in buckets, so we can report on that next year. So you won't see that in this year's report. But now's the time to tell us, honestly, if there's something you want us to get for next year, because we realized that we were probably in the best position of anyone in the industry to gather and report on this data. It'll take our data team an extra 30 seconds, right? When they're doing their research to build it into our system, we can track it, report on it, and provide it to the mortgage industry. So then when they have conversations like along the regulations and all of that, we can potentially be of assistance.
We spent a couple hours on this at our director summit too. That's been one of my big takeaways when we met as a company. If we have so much data and we're not really utilizing it, and I think we brainstormed for about 10 minutes of things we could do with our data, and we got to like 40 to 50 items, right? So there are a lot of things out there, a lot of opportunities. And also, talking about the barrier with software, it's never been easier to pull data and analyze it, right? So it's at our fingertips. It's just, the initial getting that set up.
Yeah, and realizing what's important, I think, has been really valuable. And, I've been so lucky to go to a lot of industry conferences and realizing that the types of questions people ask us, we might not always have the answer, but it's like, okay, well, you just gave me an idea for next year, right? It might take us a year to execute on it, but I do think it's important work, and that's on the more serious note of our marketing. We do data reports and comic strips, so
it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
Yeah.
Insofar as we've talked about AI, which has changed the economy of time and productivity, Jim, I'm very curious about what you've brought for us for Jim's book club.
This is Buy Back Your Time. I read this a couple years ago. This is a book that I've given to a lot of folks as well. Because you kind of reach a stage, not just running a business, but anyone really, of there's only so many hours in the day, and there's always more things that you could be doing, right? So Buy Back Your Time is basically, how do you get more of your time back? He's an entrepreneur. He coaches entrepreneurs, so I think he comes at it from this perspective. One of the things that a rule from the book is figure out what your hourly rate is, like how much is your time worth, how much you earn. If you're salaried, it makes it easy. If you can pay anyone a quarter of that hourly rate to do anything that you would spend time on, do that right away. Right. And the kind of lowest rung for that could be like a VA, right? Virtual assistant, scheduling, someone in your emails. That's where he starts. He kind of goes, I think, in some ways a little extreme of, someone like they have an assistant at their house who travels ahead of them to set things up, picks up his kids, like a lot of that type of stuff. One of the more bro-y things that mentioned in this book is 4 p.m. every day. He's in his office. He sticks his arm out of the door and a protein shake is handed to him. Right. So like, I'm not quite that far, but I think the concept of buying back your time is really important because there's always so many things that you could be doing and you only have so much time. So ultimately it comes down to having to prioritize. Like I have a friend of mine, I've heard people talk about, I wanted to get to this level of my career. I'm a hard worker. I can do it. And I get to a point, I'm like, I hate to break it to you. It's not about how hard you work because you will get a limit, right? There will always be more things you can do. So I think you have to be very strategic, but how you spend your time. So this book is really good at it. I know, to shout out Tim's wife, Sarah, she read this and she called it convicting because I think she grew up in a family business and she said, all these things my parents never did are mentioned in this book. So it's a really good book for entrepreneurs because especially when you're trying to scale a business beyond yourself, but I think anyone could get value from this.
Yeah, I think.
It's book club.
Yeah, I think I remember when you read this because you started something that Jim's always said to me and to the team is like, if there's something at a conference that makes your life easier, do it. Yeah. Like, and that means many different things, right? For a while, it just means like, hey, we're going to use the FedEx at the conference center because even though it's $20 more, it saves us an hour. Yeah. Right. And I think that realization coming, especially for me, I came from the hospitality industry, which is like, spend your time, not your money. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of shift really has changed a lot of things.
You and Fiona got blowouts, right?
Yeah.
I was like, one, saved you the time that you would spend doing that at another point.
Like, I would have had to wash my hair.
We got some great content out of it, too.
We did.
Right? And, like, I don't think they're that expensive, right? So just little things like that. Like, and, like, with that type of stuff, too, like, it actually means a lot to employees.
100%, yeah.
Right?
And I mean,
because you're kind of like, in valuing, telling someone to value your time. It shows how you value them. Too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's something, we've added it for our big shows is what like ICE Experience and MBA Annual is something we offer. I think I told male employees they also got a credit. So I think Hugh's got a haircut. But like, I think, so
I need to I like actually go to a barber to get like a beard trim and head shave. I rarely do it. It's been 2 years. Is that
I give I build into our marketing budget. I think it's $100 credit per employee that we send.
Treat yourself.
So they can spend that on something like nails. Go get a haircut. If you're not a nail person, if you are a spray tan person, go do that.
I think it's food sometimes too. I'm like, well, let me just get a nice meal.
Like and it's something that like you have to do in preparation. I always have nails on, right, at conferences and all of that. It's something that makes me feel put together, but it's also an additional cost that I take on. And, I realize that that's something all of our employees are doing as well. Yeah. So I think Hughes and Isaac both got haircuts. But they were much lower than my $100 limit because they were men's haircuts.
Yeah. 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 Fair.
Knowing me, I'd probably get like a Gandalf figurine and be like, you missed the point of this. You just
Tim,
No,
you're supposed to do something for yourself. I guess that is something for yourself. Is you can't help figuring.
No, I'm thinking of the reaching your hand out and getting a protein shake handed to you. And you mentioned Sarah, so it made me think, what would Sarah do if I tried that? And I think she'd probably hand me a protein shake with like wheat in it because I have celiac.
Attempted murder. But I will say, it's funny because it pays back. Is like we've been at the booth and like someone has complimented one of our employees' nails and they're like, oh, thank you, LodeStar paid for them. And they're like, oh my gosh. Like, so people view your company very positively from it too, which is nice.
I could rant forever about that type of stuff. Like, it matters so much to people, and at the end of the day, it costs you so little. Like,
it's really cool. Like, it is really cool. I think it's something that I've felt deeply, jokes aside, like to say nothing of the statistics of like monetary value versus thing at equivalent monetary value and what's the experienced value of that.
I just like treating people like people is like, important, obviously, to doing the right thing, but like the ROI on this type of stuff is insane. Like, same with swag. Like, there's a reason we do all of that, because like it for what you're spending, you get an outsized impact, right? And it's also just not being it's like the right stuff to do, which is so important. But
it's very meaningful. Like, it is really meaningful to receive those things. Like, I don't know, it creates this sense of warmth and community and kind of like a sense of belonging, which, that's stuff that money can't buy, I think, for sure. Well, we're being really positive. I think we need to stop that immediately, because we are now at our fourth and final segment, in which I ask Jim and Alayna, what's grinding your gears lately? So we can.
So I think, honestly, Jim, how do you feel about LinkedIn Easy Apply?
Well, that'll get positivity right.
It's great if you don't want a job. Like, so what we do, because of the number of applications that we get, is we have a quick 5-minute survey that we want everyone to fill out, and it's kind of like personality survey that everyone takes, and it's part of our application process and hiring process. And we say, I used to put this in the bottom of the application, so you'd have to read the whole thing. We put it right at the top of, please fill this out, or you will not, your resume will not be considered. 70% of people don't fill that out because you just click easy apply, and it's just not. You're just missing that, and we're throwing your resume out, right? Because we want someone, for the most part, who's detail oriented, and it's right there. Like, we actually put it at the top,
it's
so you can see it.
Thing, and
you can see it in the window before you click easy apply.
All caps. It says, please read.
When we put it at the bottom, it was like 10% would fill it out, not even. So like, I actually changed it for that reason. And I think the thing that people don't understand about applying for jobs is less is more. Like, you need to do a better job with the jobs you're applying for, as opposed to the spaghetti against the wall carpet bombing theory. Like, if you're kind of a fit for 100 jobs, you're not going to get the job, right? You need to be a really good fit for 10 jobs, and tailor your profile, tailor your outreach accordingly, and spend the same amount of time applying for 10 jobs that you would for 100 or more if you were just going to click the damn easy button the whole time. So like, I just think that that's like a misunderstanding that people have that affects their ability to get a job, quite frankly.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, for us, I mean, we probably have one of the easiest applications, right? It's not a secondary portal. It's not anything like that. You can hit easy apply, but read the job description. Because that's what you've told me, is you haven't read the job description, so you don't actually know what the role requires. And then when we get to the screening call, what we do is we verify that you understand, because we put compensation in our job description. We do all that, right?
In-person requirements,
all that.
What the job actually is.
And then let's say you're a good candidate, you get to your 15-minute interview, you don't know any of those answers. You told me you didn't do any prep.
Someone applied for a sales job a while ago and said, oh, I didn't realize this job, I don't want to do any cold calling. And it was in the application. I was like, okay, well, this conversation's over. It was part of the job. Sorry. Like, that's also why we have such quick screening calls, because many times people don't understand part of the jobs, and we're trying to protect not only our time, but the time of the people that we're talking to, too. So this wasn't even my gear grinding that I had, too.
I love hearing stories about like like cataclysmically bad interviews, like in terms of like people like did negative effort yeah. I'm hearing a sigh there, and I'm going to ask about that in a second. I have a friend who owned a business, and she had somebody who showed up to the interview and started with, I'm sorry, which one is this again?
I've got that.
Yeah. What do you guys do? Oh, mortgages. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
I
Okay.
can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, overall, I think I know you're coming to me, so I'm just gonna jump ahead of it here. I think more so than any one moment, it's just, especially if you're making it to the second round, just do like a little bit of research, right? Because to me, the people who stand out are, we have a very active online presence, right? We are very transparent. You can tell a lot about our company with like 15 minutes of research, right? And if you're getting to the point of we're giving you an hour of 3 people's time in our organization and you haven't done that work, or you don't have any questions for us, then like, I'm sorry, this is not the job for you.
And I don't think this is just us too. Flattery will get you everywhere.
100%.
Right? Like if the easiest way, and this was my other grind gears when people reach out to me, if you want me to respond, compliment my content.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Compliment our content and we will like you. Like that, and I think that's true with everyone. I think it's just human nature. Like when I've been at conferences, I've seen a speaker and I want to talk to that person, right? I email them saying how much I enjoyed what they talked about. You can get a response that way. Like, people love being complimented, right? And it can be earnest. And, that's why we put out content. So people get a sense of what we're like when you're applying here. But like flattery will get you everywhere. And it doesn't take that long. There's enough stuff out there that you could pull it in and like actually, so it's not that hard to your point. No. And it's very impactful, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, and I stole this from Sue Woodward, who is like an industry legend. She's a wonderful human. She said this publicly on stage. So I'm not sharing industry secrets or her secrets. But she will take a photo of the speaker on stage and make sure it's a nice one, of course, and then we'll send it to them via LinkedIn and say what she loved about their presentation.
That's a great idea.
And I have done that so many times that she said that, and it is a game changer because it says not only am I attempting to like get your business, right? Yeah. But I'm providing value from my first interaction.
Yeah.
Because I just gave you a good photo of you on stage.
That you couldn't take.
And to be quite honest, I've been on stage before and I've had people not take photos, right? Yeah. Or not get that. Mm-hmm. And you have to kind of dedicate someone to the audience to do that. If you don't think to do that before you get on stage, you don't have any photos of what you just did.
Well, it's also great to be able to reach out to someone in a way that you're not asking for business or asking for anything. Like my grind gears that I had was actually about LinkedIn, where people will reach out one time, send something and go, oh, just want to make sure you read my last message, or wanted to bring this back to your inbox. Screw you. Like,
you're just asking for my time.
Like, no, what do you think about this? I either ignored it or I don't care. Like, you're not adding anything by doing that. Right. So like we've done cold reach outs. I've done them a lot. Right. I do feel for folks doing that, but there's a right and a wrong way to do that. And I think just saying like just circling back, right? Like avoid that like the plague. Like it's tough. It's an easy thing to write. That's why a lot of people do it, but it's not terribly helpful.
Jim, it reminds me of like a little mini series you did on your LinkedIn videos once of how to make sales not suck. So much of that was about like not making those mistakes.
Yeah.
Making it, setting yourself up for like, hey, do your research. Flattery gets you everything. Like all of these ways of just like not beating your head.
And like, actually reach out. Like, I'm not a mortgage company. Don't.
Oh my God. I'm not a lender. I don't have an MLS number. Right. I cannot give you a loan.
Right.
I get a lot of stuff like, hey, need help with content creation? Like, we can outsource all your content creation. Like, literally, I would be out of a job. Like, we are the company that does a lot of our own content. That's like our thing. Like, what? Yeah. No, like, leave me alone.
Also, don't sell them the person that whose job you would eliminate. That's just like a fair boundary.
What do you think I'm going to say?
Like, that's just a bad sales technique as a salesperson.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Oh, just to keep the optimism, bring the optimism back if we're good with our conversation. This is an anti-gear grinding. With the World Cup, I am loving all of the people from other countries like interacting with American food in cities, of like the Boston Scotland love affair. Like, the Duke of Japan who was like honored by the free chips and salsa.
I will do this because of this. I honor you by showing you in the guys.
Like 3 buckets on
their bottomless chips. You're gonna be honoring me for a long time.
For a long time. It was so fun. We were in Providence for the weekend, and it was a mixture of the Pride Festival and Scottish people.
Yeah,
it was so fun.
The Boston Stadium is closer to Providence than to Boston.
Yeah, they had a whole like shuttle bus, and they all came back, and they all came back into basically a giant pride party.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, it was a sight to be seen.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
I like this new concept. This is a revolution in what grinds my gears, the anti-gear grinding.
The anti-gear grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's bring some positivity.
Let's move it up your gears right now. I saw this thing the World Cup is like having a giant sleepover with your cousins who you never see because your parents don't get along.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I love it. I loved the photo of, I think it was France, that had guards around the Rocky statue in Philadelphia, because there is a curse on the statue. If you put your jersey on it, you will lose. Like it's statistically proven.
Yeah.
You know, no one who's put their jersey on the Rocky statue has won their game in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Don't come to our city
and
demolish our statues.
And then the thing in Glasgow where they put the cone.
The cone on top of George Washington?
On a bunch of Austin things, yeah. So, anyways, that's my anti-grind.
It's very wholesome. It's on par with, it makes me think of during COVID when you had all of these like vacated public spaces outside, like you'd see sheep moving in or something like that. There'd be like, oh, I like it. So some cones on a statue in Boston. You're like,
yeah.
We're all in.
Well,
as we
gears are both ground and now anti-ground.
Perfect. And with that, I think we're ready to give some full disclosure moment. Well, full disclosure, if you see me looking at the ground at all during this episode, it was my dog sleep running.
She was like, she was trying to get a little bit. Okay.
Full disclosure moments, and always remember to like and subscribe if you like our content. If you don't, then great.
Full disclosure, we don't care.